Good morning, everybody. John Spielkla and Luda here, bringing you the Gen AI news briefing from GAI Insights, rating the news, top news, either essential, important, or optional, save you time in your day, maybe give you some insight. So we got all kinds of interesting stuff going on here. Everything from Perplexity competing with Google to an amazing set of stories about how Google is using its new AI capabilities to build out new chips. And we also have Ankaj. Here we go. All right, let's take a look at the first article. Ankaj, you ready?
Yes, John. Sorry about being late.
No
Some
problem.
network issue. Yes.
All right.
So the first one that we have for today comes from Google DeepMind, and it talks about how their AlphaChip has transformed computer chip design.
Yeah, amazing here. Amazing story of how since 2020, they've been using this technology to really change the way the chip design is being done. So, Luda, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, I actually think this is an important development. They have announced that they have a model for chip design in 2020.
Mhm.
Since then, they've been improving it, and now they are releasing an addendum and the weights for that model. So the approach that they've taken is to layer the chip um, layer at a time. So it's an important development for chip design, and people who are designing chips, especially in this day and age where the chips are very critical for AI development. However, for the general AI leader, this is probably optional.
Yeah, I agree. Optional for our AI leader, but an amazing story. And if you're interested, I mean, just fantastic new design as they go deeper and deeper into the AI helping to generate our understanding and knowledge to make the whole chip process more computable and to really do designs that we couldn't have done without the aid of the AI. So, a fantastically interesting topic, optional for our leader. All right, next.
The next one comes from Sarah Tevil, and she's thinking through the future for LLM companies.
Yeah, Sarah, this lays out basically where she thinks the value is going to be and how the large companies are going to have to go into forward integrate. I think it is forward integrating into the major markets. Therefore, and she's an investor. Any of the investments in companies that are doing things like coding help are likely to get crushed by the large models as they seek revenue and. I rated this as important for our AI leader, not essential. I do happen to agree with her point of view because when you look at something like OpenAI, it's not clear to me that they're going to be able to recoup their their investment unless they forward integrate into something that has more immediate value added, such as coding development. She does note that it's going to be the big markets, not small markets. So let's say that you had, something in, industrial manufacturing, or maybe like the thing we reviewed the other day about Siemens and their generative AI tool to help with programming controllers inside industrial organizations. Maybe they don't forward integrate into that, but something like software development, I think, is a natural. So I rate it as important. What do you think, Luda?
I also agree with her on the how it will develop. So the need for the companies that raised enormous amount of money to actually get more revenue streams. So they will try to go vertical as well, and as a result provide more competition. The issue I see with this view is, as you know, when you go vertical, you need a lot of expertise, and it's hard to get unless you're in it. And so I think it's to some degree this will develop this way. The coding is a natural. There might be some verticals that are like that for these people to go into, but healthcare like that would be more difficult. So I take it with a grain of salt,
Okay.
but I do think for It's an interesting view. It's very concise. So it's worth reading, especially if you are trying to put out a product that is vertical, built on currently existing LLMs.
Yeah.
It's worth knowing, and they probably know anyway, but I think it's worth knowing.
Okay, so you want, because that's on the fence.
I would
Important. Yeah. All right. Important it is. All right, Ankash, next.
Okay, the next one comes from Bain and Company, and they're talking about AI's trillion-dollar opportunity.
Yeah, what did you think here, Luda?
I think it's also a concise article. I rated it as important. They outline and give projections of what the opportunity, the market itself will be. And so I think it is important for the leaders to step back and know that this is potentially what's happening. They also outline the areas where there will be more action. Ankash, if you scroll down, there are 4 areas like memory, agents, things like that later on, which is also on point. Yeah, a little further. Yeah, these areas. Yeah. So it's worth noting, and I think we should rate as important. It's quite brief article.
Yes, I definitely had it as important, maybe even essential, because it's it's the most fact-based, look at the future of this market that I've seen lately. And so also, Ankash, I don't know if you can click through to the underlying technology report, which is much longer. It's really, I just took a quick look at it. It's really quite well done in terms of what they think the future of the market is going to be. This is really, I mean, like right there, the customer service, sales and marketing, software development, back office productivity. I just think they laid out nicely. So can I convince you into an essential for the little one, or just we're going to go for important on this one?
Well, okay. So the report was actually well done. The issue for me, John, is it's not essential for the day-to-day operation, right? It's a projection of what the market will be. So, I mean, for the AI leader, I still go important, but if you feel that it's essential, I'll go with you.
Well, let me make the argument. So my thought is that you're sitting here playing out and so we have, the vast majority of people are doing prototypes. And then we got 5 to 10% of people into production, and they're looking at their 2025 budgets and just trying to understand, in these especially in this large organization, just $500 million or more in sales, the AI leaders sitting there and they're making commitments to the organization that are going to be multi-year. And I don't think they're getting any view of what the market is going to shape up like from the vendors. I think the vendors have a very nice, they're not, you might get their technology roadmap, but, kind of where are they going in terms of the shape of the supplier base and who should I commit to or not? That's why I thought something like this is essential, because they're putting their career on the line for the next 24 or 36 months in a very volatile market. So anyway.
Yeah. No, from that perspective, when you're looking at the budget, you're going to the board to actually ask for a commitment of a large sum, multi-year.
Yeah.
I think that's an important, essential piece of information. Yeah, fine. And it's done by a third party, so you can point to and refer to rather than your group. Yeah. No.
All right. All right. So we're going to make this bad boy essential with a little bit of a pointer to the underlying report, which is very nice. And by the way, we've beat up on Bain before. They're not all this good. This one's particularly good.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. Next, Ankash.
The next one comes from BT Group, and it talks about how BT Group is leveraging large language models from multiple vendors and models like Claude,
Yes.
Meta, and Amazon.
Yeah, well, I thought that, it's an essential topic for sure. The idea of where do you get your ability to move across different models, not to be excessively vertically integrated and locked in. But I gave this as an optional. It's, just looks like a combination of a BT and Amazon press release that talks about how they are, building a capability to be able to switch across models. So super important topic. This particular thing optional. What do you think, Luda?
I agree. But when I was reading the article, I was thinking, look, we have AT&T that we just reviewed, right? Doing 1 billion tokens a month, right? Huge numbers. But doing a lot of this stuff internally. So here's a competitor, right? In the same market doing the switch, essentially the router to different LLMs internally as well, not using the existing platforms out there to be able to do that. It's a fascinating, the decisions that these companies are making. It's fascinating.
Mhm.
And I don't think the switch, like ability to go to different LLMs and decide which one is better, is a critical strategic thing, right? So you can use and use the multiple vendors that exist out there in the market, and you can stay with the market versus developing your own. So for me, it was an interesting thing to note. But yeah, the article itself is optional.
All righty. We'll land on optional. Sounds good. Next, Ankaj. And folks in the audience, please feel free to subscribe to our thing or give us questions. Go ahead.
So the next one, John, comes from Perplexity, and it talks about how Perplexity is in talks with top brands on its ad model.
Yeah.
John, if you take that, yeah.
Luda.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, no, I was going to rate this one essential. Definitely important in my mind, because here we have the first real head-on competitor. Remember the context of this. So there's roughly $1 trillion in advertising that goes out through different channels. About 2/3 of that is nonlinear. That is through Google, Facebook, and so forth. So we're looking at $600-700 billion that now is up for contention. And Google obviously has massive share, as does Facebook in the non-Chinese world, right? And Perplexity is going directly at it and working with folks like Nike and Marriott over this new advertising model. And the simple thought is, instead of you're asking questions, you're getting answers, and you're getting answers with opinion. And we've talked about this before. Paul has written on it in his SEO bloodbath, notion. We're doing some work with Pete Blackshaw, who's one of the best minds in the world on the relationship between digital interface and brand and advertising. And we really think this is a big deal. So, the article's okay, but I just was going to make it essential because I think the AI leader needs to be paying attention to this. So many of them are going to be so many businesses are dealing with Google and Facebook as primary demand creation. So what do you think, Luda?
Yeah, from the perspective of, if you are in the SEO market in one way or the other, I think you should pay attention to Perplexity. I use it all the time, and absolutely they're serving ads, and they're doing it in a very nice manner. It doesn't interfere with your work. The flow is still there, and they're putting it contextually very smartly. So I think it's a good competitor to Google and the like. So I think the leaders who are out there using the SEOs and the like need to pay attention. So essential for me.
Awesome. Yes, and I think it's the rare company that doesn't use SEO someplace, whether it's in labor, getting talent into the organization, or the brand getting new customers. So, all right, essential. Here we are with the Financial Times.
The next one comes from Menlo Ventures, and it talks about AI agents and the next wave of enterprise automation.
Yeah, this is our last article for today, and I really thought this was good. Again, at the risk of being, a tolerant or an easy grader Friday, I was gonna give this one essential as well, because I think that I think they do a good job of laying out what robotic process automation limits were and how agents are actually expanding that. So, for example, dealing with novel exceptions, dealing with unstructured data, And, those are huge things when we consider the estimates are between 80 and 90% of all data in organizations is semi-structured or unstructured and not available to traditional robotic process automation or data consolidation. So it just seems like the next level of process automation is going to be really driven by agents. And this article, I think, does a pretty good job of both laying out why that's the case, what the AI agent marketplace looks like, and some thoughts on the future of enterprise automation. Ankash, we go all the way down more toward the end, of this article. So, what do you think, Luda? Am I just being a lazy grader because it's Friday, or is it worth it?
So I rated it as important, not essential, because it's coming from one venture group, obviously with investments in the space.
Yeah.
They're absolutely correct that agents are. So, Ankash, if you can go down, there is a little map, the market map of the startups in this one. And if you can make it bigger, that would be great. So maybe click on it. So what's happening, right? So the reason for important is because it's just one venture group with investment, and they want to support this particular thing. However, and also there's another thing happening in the market, that I don't think the market is quite ready for agents because of security and other items that haven't been resolved to really unleash the agents. However, the importance here is that the agents revolution is happening, and it's happening in a number of ways. So this article does a really smart and good job on laying out the groups of various agents, and it compares it with the horizontal automation when you string it, the process through the various operations, and the vertical, the various agents that can work on the vertical data or specific data. So I think it's important, at least. I'm not sure it's essential because it's not yet top of mind, I think.
Well, it's interesting. Let me make the case for essential. So I was talking to someone who had just participated, Dan Priest over at PwC, had just participated in, the Salesforce Dreamforce conference. And if you look at the things that Mark Benioff, the founder CEO of Salesforce, is talking about, and Oracle World also, it's all about agents. So our AI leader is going to have, all the vendors are pounding the AI leader with agents and agentic behavior and so forth. The way they've defined agents, and I was watching Andrew Ng's pitch on agents, to the Sequoia venture capital group. And as he's defining agents, to me, Luda, to show my age, these things are subroutines or sub-applications, right? They're not, the vendors are really, I don't think, providing agents in the sense of things that are going into a broad, multi governance environment like a market and then doing things. This is really in a more controlled market and simply automating new tasks in a repetitive or an object. It looks a lot like object-oriented programming in the old days. Like what an active object would actually do, and they're calling them agents. So I don't know. Let's see, at Colaberry's, saying, hey, look, they agree with you, in terms of gives directions, in terms of how VCs are looking to shape the future of the enterprise. For sure, I just think that. I think our AI leader is going to get lots of questions about, are we doing agents, and what are they, and all that other stuff. So that's why I thought this was a distinct, informed read on an answer.
It's a directional article for sure. And so when the teams are looking for strategy, where and how to deploy agents, this map will be very insightful, at least to look at the companies that are on the front page of this, right? Or leading. So yeah, from that perspective, absolutely. I mean, let's rate it essential because agents are on everybody's tops of mind from the point of view of directional, not yet usage, I think, but directional and what to do with them. And yeah. And absolutely, John, you were talking about subroutines, but this is slightly different because subroutines were deterministic. You tell them, okay, if you check this, this, and the other thing, you can do this action. Here, the agents can actually take liberty with your actions, and that's the problem.
Yeah. Well, I get one of the benefits of in my career is I got to know Alan Kay pretty well. He's the guy who invented object-oriented programming.
Yeah.
Small talk, and he was also creative.
I've programmed in those. Yes.
Yes. And this really, you're right. It's not subroutines, but I do think it is objects because objects were situationally aware, and depending upon what they would inherit from other objects, they could spawn themselves. They could go look for information, and really the kind of deterministic security regimes held back objects for many, many years. So yeah, I think for me, agents are a subset of objects, but whatever, I'm turning into one of those old guys howling at the moon. It's like, oh, this has been said before.
Yeah, okay, well, let's rate it essential.
All right.
I just think, John, what needs to get settled is how do you put guardrails on the object's actions? If it's your bank account, right, you want to make sure that this particular agent doesn't take liberty with your money one way or the other, right? In a way that you don't approve of. So that's where the rub hits the road.
Yes, I completely agree. And yeah, so, and there's a certain amount of fashion to things, right? So what the heck, if we just keep talking about old language, people like to have newer language and new fashion and so forth. So here we are in the agentic world. All right, Ankash, what's the tote board look like? Before we get there, I was looking to see what's on our learning lab on Monday, and I don't have that handy. You don't have that handy, do you, Luna?
No, I don't.
All right. Well, we do have a learning lab coming up on Monday, and it runs from 7 to 8 Eastern. And we usually get a group of AI leaders and developers, as well as the AI curious, to that. So please feel free to come to that. And let me go ahead and put the tote board up here. Got an important Friday here. We got 3 essentials, 2 optionals, and 1 important. So we got a BT group. So what? Perplexity and dealing with the SEO bloodbath. And Beyond Bots, how agents are driving, and then our friends at Bain with the AI's $1 trillion opportunity. Really good things in terms of frameworks, perspectives to help our AI leader get budget, understand the market, and be up there in terms of power and influence in the context of this business. All right, Luda, anything else? Ankash, anything else we need to tell our folks before we wish everybody a great weekend? All right, everybody. Have a great weekend. See you all on Monday morning. Bye-bye.
And happy